Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Seasonal Tokens Podcast, where Polar interviews people so you can do more investing and less gambling.
I'm sure that we all have a lot to learn from the success of micropets. Everything sounds very well planned and also executed also very well. Of course, I'm sure that you have been surprised by a lot of things together with the huge results in the sales. But in the end, I would say that probably this is one of the good problems to have. But I don't know, was it a good problem to have?
Yeah, that's like when we're thinking about evaluating projects too, there's good problems to have and there's bad problems to have. The why I'm so passionate about the company I have right now is like, what if we could go back in time and what if we could cap some things off, and obviously nobody has really done this stuff before. We're all learning as we go, right? And so if I could go back in time, I would definitely have had some more caps, some more limitations, run more financial analysis on different things as well. Like I said, you learn from anything in business. So that to me is like what I really would have done, like looking back to make sure that things were better positioned for success. But that's why I'm so passionate about what we do here is like all the deep dives and all the painful scar tissue that I have accumulated over the years, whether it's just in business or whether it's running the company and running the project, all these things have to work together. So that to me would be one thing that, if I could go back, would be more analysis, more time put into these things and more focus on that. Because I know that it brings a ton of value off the back end, and when you're running something, you're running 1,000 miles an hour too. That's the other consideration is I think most people need to slow down a lot more. That's what we teach our founders to do as well. Because I had somebody who came on board with me and he was very anxious to get everything going. And I immediately told him this idea is not going to work. And we cut it and we rebuilt it. And he said it saved him tens of thousands of dollars. And so this is like how we're looking to work and operate things versus just rush right into the reins of fire. We have to think deeply about things and leverage the different experiences that not only we have from our own operations of our own projects, but the benefit we have here is we can literally open up any project and we can look at their failures as well and see what they did right, see what they did wrong, how did the chart respond. These are insights also that I think are often missed by people is you can compare, you as an investor even compare these different charts, these different projects and understand what makes a great project. And then you know how to find one. So that's in essence, a lot of learnings from that project for sure. One of the other things is the operational efficiency that we had was probably one of the most unique things in that. In 6 months, there were 72 smart contracts that rolled out, 2 custom DApps. We had a player in game and we did the whole full game custom API as well. So a lot of that is a matter of finding great people, first of all, and then making sure that you're very clear in your operations. So that was really myself and the 2 developers. It was only 2 developers that built all that, by the way. It was myself working with those 2 developers for that seamless execution, which is also another very critical part of the project because all of this is development. It's software. Okay. And so if you don't have a very strong software development pipeline, or if the project looks like there's tons of delays in their software development pipeline, that means they have very bad quality issues or they're very disorganized in how they're operating. Because I know that what enabled us to be so fast in our execution was the attention to quality in details, planning, but also having great people, and being able to motivate them and then get out of their way and let them do their jobs. So that, and by the way, it wasn't like the guys were extremely expensive either. They weren't. It's a matter of finding the right people, like I said, and motivating them on what they viewed as valuable. And it wasn't money. They wanted to build something very unique. They wanted to be part of something as big as this got to. That's what excited them more so than money, because they could have just made mint pages all day long for 20 BNB or whatever it was that they told me at the time. That's not what their prerogatives were. They want to be part of something bigger than that.
Yeah, but at the same time, you have to know how exactly to motivate them, how to talk to them, what exactly to promise them, and how to formulate even your sentences so they can feel the passion and excitement, right?
Absolutely. It's also a matter of having timelines and dates that are realistic, that you review very frequently so that you make sure that, hey, if, like, for example, if I just tell you today, in 3 months, I want you to have all this done, and then I never meet with you again, I never check and see how you're at in your journey, at the end of the 3 months, we may or may not be there. Who the hell knows? But if we meet every week for 15 minutes and we check it out, then you can say, hey, I'm having this problem. All right, cool. Let me help you work on that. You could see the difference in teamwork and the difference in how things can operate far more effectively than they, usually do in the blockchain space. I'll be honest with you, not with my clients, because I reject anybody that's like a meme or dog coin or something like that. But most of these projects you're going to invest in, when you see how they're run on the inside, it's a nightmare. It's literally a nightmare. It's a disaster. And I've been inside some of the top projects. None of them have it together. Not one, and how they operate things behind the scenes. So that to me is also why I'm so passionate about what I'm doing here, is to bring that operational sense to a lot of these. And like when you see a startup that's a good Silicon Valley startup and then they build in Web3, you see a lot of efficiency and effectiveness. When you see somebody who's done nothing build in Web3, you just see a disaster. Okay. So hopefully this is helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you are bringing is absolutely important, and it is that teamwork can make your project successful or it can destroy it. So if you don't, of course, find the right people, but also treat them well in respect and have great relations with them, in the end, like, you can be screwed only because you have decided to neglect this part of your business. Is this what you're saying?
Absolutely. The team is largely a big part of this, and that's why I'm not with the project anymore. I quit my job for that. I was the only one who doxed, became public, and I did that in a downtrend, by the way, as well, in March. The project launched in October. So when I looked at my sacrifices and by the way, I worked 16 hours a day, 7 days a week for 6 months straight with no days off, not one. It was even Christmas, I was working, Thanksgiving holiday, went out on vacation, I was working. And so, not having, I don't want to say anything bad about my ex-teammates, but what I will say is that when the professionalism, when the work ethic and everything doesn't align, eventually problems set in later on. And when you don't have the capacity to do the job to the best of your ability, then it ends up frustrating your other team members as well. So when the team is being built, obviously the consideration is, what is everyone's very specific roles? And then do they have a demonstrated history and capacity to execute on those roles? For example, you can't just randomly become a CMO. If you don't know anything about marketing, if I start asking you what's a CPC, you don't even know that's cost per click or cost per impression. You have nothing in marketing. Why are you a CMO now? Just because you're in Web3, you can't call yourself a CMO if you don't even know the basics of marketing. You don't even know what a call to action is. If I have to tell you that you have no call to action on your website, then you're not a CMO. So it comes to the details of like building a team of people who actually know what they're doing, putting them all together, and then with those very clearly distinct roles, coming together frequently for an executive meeting, a team meeting. But you should see and feel a strong team is in place. And what I also want to say is, don't believe the initial burst. So if in the beginning everyone's all hyped up and in that kind of stuff, right? And then eventually, I used to say this all the time, you watch the actions, not the words. So somebody's telling you, hey, I promise you, I'm going to have all this, and they're getting all excited. All right, I'm not listening to any of that. I'm going to watch and see what you do. Now I see that you're never in the chat. Now I see that you're never on voice chat. Now what I see is nothing is getting done. Now that I look on Twitter and nothing's going on in these tweets. Where's our marketing at? Nobody's here. This tells me that they had the hustle in the beginning, but most people can't sustain. And so now we're seeing only the fake part. Like when you hire a new employee and after a month or whatever, you start to see how they really work. And then now you're like, I have to get rid of this person now since this isn't right. This is exactly the same thing that you will see with teams in the space too. So all of this stuff is very critical when it comes to not only looking at the team of a project, but looking at building your own team and how you put that together, especially your co-founding team. You have to be very careful, very careful.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you on this one. And I still believe that this is also happening very often in the Web2 startup life, but I don't know. Right now, I'm really focused also on Web3, so I'm not sure. But based on my experience, I'm pretty sure that people that are trying to start a standard Web2 startup are also having issues with their teammates.
Yeah.